So we are back with another chapter, but first, happy Halloween to everybody that's watching this video. And it's a good Halloween to be exact. Halloween Day, where a One Piece chapter has now dropped. And we get answers to long-witted question: how did Roger end up getting killed, or why did Roger and Garp team up against Rock? We find that out in this chapter. So here we are at One Piece chapter 1164, titled Davy's Blood. And we kicking off where this picks up at, where we left off at 1163, with Rocks and the rest of the Garp, Big Mom, Kaido, even Roger all do their biggest moves at Eam. Didn't even damage him at all. It's no surprise. But surprisingly, Rock went to Eam, jumped at Eam, and then Eam decided to pull something out of his, because Eam basically have a lot of tricks under his belt. A lot of tricks. So even Dami Reversi is probably not his like one trick pony, trick out of hat move. Remember, this is the only person in the One Piece story so far that's like we haven't even gotten what he actually looks like. He or she, we don't know. But Eam decided to pierce Rock, but Rocks doesn't feel any pain. However, that isn't just a one-off scenario. No. What he does is about to flip Eam on his head. So here, or not flip Eam, but flip Rocks to turn Rocks into a demon. So here we are with this chapter, and this chapter kicks right off where the last panel left off, which is Rocks got hit with Dami Reverse, with everybody's looking up and seeing Eam stabbing, or Saint Saturn, whichever the one, stabbing Rocks through. And even Roger says this: our attacks didn't even phase that spider thing. And Big Mom says her saying this too. What in the world? Now we get the conversation between Eam and Rocks, and I have to say, reading this chapter the first time, because I speed read it, I gotta say, Eam is kind of spooked, but at the same time agitated. You'll see why. So Eam says this: how obstinate. And Rock says this: y'all shouldn't scoff at humans, you be. Davy D. Jones, that's the name of the previous king of the world. Rock saying this says a lot. I hope you know that, because before Eam came into power in the Void Century, there has to be someone that has that's already been king of the world, until Eam came along, and don't know what he did, but until he took over that little position of being king of the world, we don't know what happened how Eam came into power. Mostly. But Rocks is saying this: Davy D. Jones, that's the name of the previous king of the world, says a lot. And there's a reason too, because doesn't that mean the D stands for the reason why the D, the descendants of the D, don't know why I keep saying that, but you get the point. Does that mean that the D clan, Davy D. Jones, was so powerful that everybody feared this name? And when Eam took into power, I'm guessing, here's my point. Here's my thing. So if Eam was so afraid of Davy D. Jones, scared of this name, doesn't that mean this previous king of the world, Davy D. Jones, put up so much of a fight and frightened Eam so much that it spooked him a bit, or quite a lot. It spooked on Eam's enemy side. I'm guessing it's hard not to know, but I'm guessing that Davy D. Jones, I'm picturing that Eam trying to dethrone Jones, the throne, and take over, advocate the throne, right? I'm betting that Eam looking at that, it's like, I can't do nothing against this god, this king. The only thing I can do is maybe get some power, and that's probably what might happen. We don't know, but we definitely know this happened in the Void Century back then. This is what Rocks is saying is all in the void century. This is probably like 800, 1,000 something years ago. And Aim says this too. And Rox brings up another point. Also, insolent fool. That wretch was never king. Not for a single moment. Thou hast no place in the fate that binds Mew and Dave. And Ross rebuttal to this, then you shouldn't be so scared. It's just a name after all. And he goes on to say this. You've been afraid for a long time, haven't you? Afraid that one day someone's gonna inherit Davy's will and fulfill the promise. I wonder, who scares you most? Davy D. Jones, Joey Boy, and then Ian cuts him off and says, cease this babble, they shall never resurface for so long as thou fade into oblivion. Based off this conversation, I just want everybody to know that if Eam is afraid of, like, it's more not like afraid, but it's like agitated the way he said it. Like, cease this babble, like with exclamation mark. That means he's like agitated because Roxanne mentioned Joy Boy and Davy D. Jones. So that makes you wonder. Remember on Egghead arc, a couple chapters, not a couple chapters, but like I would say 31. No, I would say like 40 chapters ago. Remember when Luffy awakened, what was his name? What was that giant robot? And that giant, I'll put the caption in case anybody don't know what I'm talking about. Awakened this giant robot. That giant robot was from the voice center, Joy Boy's time. Now, Joy Boy, remember what Joy Boy told it? It says, if you are in danger, if the next person, I think that's what he said, if you are in danger, pull this trigger and this will help you. And that trigger was what was the trigger is Joy Boy's immense overpowering hockey. That was it. That was his overpowering hockey that was put into that robot. Now, what ended up happening was end up using that little trigger to use that, and a bunch of hockey spilled forth. And I kind of imagine that when that happened, I'm guessing that hockey like flew around the world, and then once it got to Eam, it hit him, smacked him in the face. Literally smacked him in the face, literally. So you have to realize that, and Eam even recognizes hockey. It was Joy Boy. So he was already pissed at the thought of Joy Boy already. So yeah. So you gotta realize that Eam was not so much livid, but had disdain towards Davy D. Jones and Joy Pacific. Those two Pacific. We don't know about the rest of the rest of the D clans people, or the rest of the Eam that like Eam has disdain for. But it seems like he or she only has disdain for those two names. Those two names bring Eam grief and agitating immense pain, basically. But we get down at the end of my final thought. But here we are. So Eam says this: Davy, Mew has found the perfect soldier's nest, a certain nation of gentle and indecisive giant. And Ross says this: giants, you best stay away from Haro. He just wants peace. Indeed, this is unprecedented opportunity. As sovereign, this is palpable, may never appear again. And Rock says, you little, thy current disposition is quite similar. Now make haste. And this is when Eam uses Dami Reversi to fully transform Rocks. But Rocks, pay attention, because there might be a way to stop this transformation from happening, but everybody sees Rocks getting stabbed and drop, and they see Rocks fully transform. Big Mom is like front line center in front of Rock, and she says, what happened? Did he do something to you up there, basically? And with Rock's consciousness, he even says, I'm fading, basically. So his consciousness is clearly and almost fading away, if you know what I mean. So, but I'm getting ahead of myself, but Eam issues orders to Demon Rocks. We're gonna call him from that. Demonic Rock. Annihilate Davy's lineage with thy own hand. Snuff out all obstacles on God Valley. And you just see Eam like not Eam but Rock just like trying to like resist, but he can't resist the command that Eam sends towards him, which I think this is one of my theories, but we're gonna wait until the end. And when Eames issued out the order, Big Mom was like, how did you get bigger? I mean, you seem taller. And Rock says, out of the way, their blood must be purged from the pages of history. And you just see Kaido going in for Rocks, trying to like back him off basically. And now the fight begins, because now Rocks begins to go all out attack against Kaido and Big Mom. They can't hold him back. And Rocks looks at Kaido looks at Kaido and said, Rocks, what are you doing? And all of a sudden Foot takes him and flings Kaido away basically. And Big Mom saws this, said, damn you Rocks, aren't we meant to be allies? And with a clash of hockey again, not clash of hockey, but Rocks knocks back Lin or Big Mom, future Big Mom, or it looked like he socked her in the face mostly. And I want you a picture of how Whitebeard feels. So imagine this, Whitebeard, you're Whitebeard, and you just saw your teammate just go fly past you like in blinding speed and get slammed to the wall. And you just look at that and you just like not like batting an eye, just like don't turn around. Like you're laser focused on the enemy. Imagine yourself you're gassing yourself up just to just go at it with your caps. Like, all right, you forced my hand. So what we got is Rocks versus future Whitebeard, which is Edward Newgate in this timeline. Now you have Whitebeard going busting out his devil fruit powers to stop Rocks' sword, and now you have this bunch of hockey just spilling everywhere, and then you got Whitebeard and Rocks going at it. Whitebeard is, I gotta say, he's going above and beyond against Rocks. I gotta admit. And then you come back to a different panel, because we don't know what happened to Whitebeard. I'm guessing he maybe got injured or just like got knocked away somewhere against the wall or something. But you see Rocks making a speedy beeline towards his wife and child. So basically, you got everybody trying to flee this catastrophic little battlefield. You know what? This is not even Battlefield at this point. This is Armageddon. This is like every future Marine's like PTSD after like where everything transpired. Celestial Dragon, damn them, because they about to get what's coming to them once we get back into the timeline, back on track on the current storyline. But they gonna get what they coming for, because this right here, what they were doing on this island, opened a whole different like perspective of why Dragon turned out the way he did. So yeah, and why Garp stayed on. But yeah, everybody's trying to get away, trying to evacuate, even the Celestial Dragon, Marines too. And then you got Rayleigh and Shocky going towards the ship, and everybody's worried about Roger, but Roger tells Rayleigh, as soon as everybody gets on the ship, then we move out basically. So you got everybody else trying to power grab everything, but that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is right here. Rocks finally caught up to his wife and T, and she looks back at Zebek like, Zebek, he looked, and she came to the conclusion too, so you lost. I'm sorry, it's our fault you faced that thing to save us, even though you weren't ready yet. And she screams Teach's name, and Teach is mortified. Now she continues to run with Teach in tow, because Rocks is ready to bring down the hammer of death on her, on both of them. And she says, we have no choice but to jump into the sea and swim. I won't let the Davy clan end here. will survive no matter what. And one person like takes a shot, or you see Marine like taking shots, about to take a shot at both of them. Escape be spotted on the coast, and you just see not only Rox is about to cut her down, cut both of them down, and the Marine's about to shoot her, but you know who came in the clutch just in time? Kuma comes in the clutch in time. Impressed. I am impressed that Kuma came. I never knew Kuma can be a game changer and like a game clutcher right there, because if those two things connected, it would have been over. You won't be having like a Blackbeard or Teach, Marshall D. Teach. So yeah. So then a big explosion happened. Then Kuma disappears all of a sudden. So yeah. And even looks off to the distance and is like, good grief. Okay. And he issues his next order. Davy, next, extinguish all who remain on the island. So he's basically using Rox to wipe out evidence. Just wipe out evidence. Wipe anybody that's been on this island, basically. So you have Roger and Garp that's occasionally that's not been knocked down yet. So yeah, one of the Marines says, Vice Admiral Garp, please hurry up. And Garp even tells him, I told you to get the hell out of here. How long are you gonna stick around? And then on Roger's side, it's like, Roger, where are you? And Roger says this, I'm fine. Let me know when everyone's aboard, basically. So you got Garp and Roger both telling their prospective allies was like, we're fine, just get out of here, basically. And then you see Rox on the next panel, you see Rox going to town on everybody, that civilians of the island, Marines, pirates, everyone. I don't know about Celestial Dragons, but if he cut down Celestial Dragons, you won't be missed at all. So yeah. So you got Rox cutting down everybody. And but Garp and Roger seeing this is like, and they both take a deep breath, and yo, bring it on, Rox. And you have like Roger and Rox standing in front of, or not Roger and Rox. Roger and Garp standing in front of Rox, and he was like, Dave, and they even said, Roger says, I won't let you go after my crew. And Garp says this, what the hell have you turned into? And you just have a moment with Rox, because Rox don't want to kill his own crew, don't want to bring his own, you know how Rox, we seen how Rox lived his life. We seen it all throughout this chapter, this arc. But he says this, Roger, Garp, and they both like, and this is in their head too, what's with that? And they see Rox's expression, what's with that expression? And he says this, please kill me. And then he rushes Rox rush towards Roger and Garp. The climax of the Guard Valley incident is here. Chapter 1064 and final thoughts on this chapter. So we have a exclusive. Now we know what happened to Rox. We do, because not only we know what happened to Rox, we finally got like the connection towards like, oh, is this where Rox like gets teamed up upon again Roger and Garp? Yes, this has been a thing, but we didn't know back then, like 1,000 chapters ago, that we didn't know the circumstances of why a Marine and a pirate teamed up. We only know this because of Garp brought it up in like a one of the swords meeting, basically. But now that we know, that's quite interesting. Now we know. Now the dots are connected. Now as for why Eam is like it. Now here's my thing with Eam. Eam, with his so immersed in immense power. Here's my with Eam being like so agitated with Joy Boy and Davy D. Jones. With Rox revealing that, oh, I'm guessing you're mad because the D clan is still around. However, you are not king of this world. The only king of this world was Davy D. Jones. He was the king of this world before you came. Now, like I said, 800 years ago. This was like back then with Joy Boy. This is voice century knowledge that Rocks is dropping, right? The king of this world was back then. So here's my question: was Eam I can't, I don't know, I don't know how to put it, because Davy D Jones was king, right? He was king, but how did Eam came into power? How does Eam fit in? Because it seems like when Rocks brought up that name, Eam got agitated quite a bit. I mean, quite a bit. He even interrupted Rocks' monologue. Was like, you know what? Shut up. I ain't afraid of that name, basically, is Eam telling Rocks this, telling Rock. Now, it's interesting that Eam wants to say that, oh, it's not those two names. I'm not afraid of them. But however, you did get agitated when that full-blown hockey from Joy Boy hit you in the face back in Egghead arc, because you were sitting in that garden, that hidden garden, that all of a sudden, not the first time, not the first time, but the first time that anybody in history went deep into that Raiden Mirage wall and goes straight to your face. So that says quite a lot about that. Rocks is not here to play games. He's here to tell it to your face that I'm going to be king in this world. I am going to be the king in this world. But that question is why didn't Eam kill him there, even though it was just him at that garden? Why didn't Eam make a move? Like, that begs the question, though. That question, like, you didn't make he infiltrated, like, he was sitting on that rock. You could have ample amount of chances to take out Rock, but I'm guessing, like, Eam was just, like, stunned. I guess Eam was stunned because ain't nobody came, like, that deep into Mirage Wall like that. Now, this might, like, if you bring up Davy D Jones, Joy Boy, or Rocks D Zebek in front of, especially Rocks D Zebek in front of Eam, I feel like bringing up, like, Rocks would agitate him even more. I'm betting, because imagine this: you final battle and somebody just, like, told you, like, oh yeah, by the way, before I die, Rocks was right about you, and I know everything about the boy. It was like, you shut up. Don't you speak about that. Don't speak thou about that, as Eam would say it. But other than that, Kuma came in the clutch of a time, rescuing the wife and child of Rock. That was a clutch move. I'm glad we had Kuma's backstory and, like, the pretense of what led up to that war. I'm glad, because we got the full context back at Egg, which that was good, and we got the anime. The anime was I would say Robin's backstory. I would give, well, I can't say that because we got this backstory to worry about. Whoo, man, shaping out to be a good One Piece this year, and probably make a video about, like, the top 10, or not top 10, but, like, the top 3 arc this year, because it was crazy. This is the longest the arc we ever had. It wasn't Egghead. I think Oda said something like that back then. This is going to be the longest arc we ever had. Elbaf is the longest arc, but aside from that, this is crazy that like, now Eam is, like, scared, not scared, but, like, agitated with Joy Boy and Davy D Jones most. But if you like this chapter, this video, share, like, and follow me on Twitch, and subscribe. I hope I didn't say that, but subscribe, and comment down below if you think that, well, what's your theory about Eam being scared of Rocks, D Zebek, Davy D Jones, and Joy? Do you think Eam is scared of those 3 people? Because he's still afraid. He still think, like, I mean, you could have let Rocks yap more before you interrupt him. Let me be honest with you, because he was dropping some information on Eam, like, oh, You may think you're top of the world, but remember, you have not been atop of this world before. You're not the king. The previous king, well, he was king of the world, David E. Jones, let me tell you, because he's the number one sitting on top of that throne. You probably took that throne. Matter of fact, I am just gonna say that. You took that throne, and let's be honest, because if we find out that you took that throne, I guess you're a fraud. But yeah, see you again and happy Halloween and see you next chapter later.